Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast. We're back for another week of flat and slightly jumps action with the Swinton hurdle as well. Charlie Poste is back. Charlie, great week last week. Well done, my man. You nailed Cachet at 20.0 on the Matchbook Betting Exchange and went off at an industry price at 17.0. Spot on.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, as in my man George Bowie, the trainer that I said was the emerging force. I think he's more than there now, isn't he? A first classic success for him, and like his stock gets higher and higher. And like I say, he's a cracking bloke to boot. So I was chuffed for George Bowie and chuffed on a personal reasons as well. You know, I was actually out with Andrew Tinkler having Sunday lunch, and I had a few glasses of red wine, so it made it taste all the sweeter, Tom. So yeah, it was a brilliant day.
Perfect. I was going to say then bank holiday the next day, but in your line of work, there's no bank holiday, is there? So there you go. They don't exist. Jonesy, you're back as well. How are you? How'd you get on last week?
Yeah, I'm surprised Charlie's back, who's clearly the emerging force of the Matchbook podcast.
Yeah.
Because he spent all last week carrying us all, so I thought he'd be too tired this week. But no, it's good fun. I enjoyed the Guineas weekend. It was good. Yeah. Highs and lows. Aidan ran well in the Guineas, I thought. Managed to get it in the frame and fourth. And went 4 places.
Could be a very nice horse going forward, I think. Right. Before we get stuck into the previews, we're going to start with Friday's Chester Cup. One race on Friday, and then if you're watching this for Saturday, just move on. We'll then move on to race card ITV order from Saturday. If you are liking our content, give this video a thumbs up and you can subscribe for free. And if you're listening to us on the podcast, then review us and follow us on your preferred podcast app, be it Apple, Spotify. There's probably others out there now as well. The timestamps will be available if you want to move on between days and races. They'll be in the description of however you are watching or listening to this. And a final reminder for insights.matchbook.com for a recap of all of our bets. And that applies to all the sports as well. For example, it's a cracking weekend in the Premier League this weekend. And the guys have done a pod already, so have a little look at that. Right, Friday's Chester Cup. First things first. Not sure if we have screen grabber prices here. If not, I'll give them to you. No, Friday's Chester Cup then looks like this. So Falcon 8 is 5.6. Solent Getaway is a 5.8 shot. Cleveland is 7.5, as is Coltrane. 12.0 for Rajinsky. I put that up last year, I remember. Arcadian Sunrise, and then we're into the much bigger prices. Okay, 3 different horses. Straight back to the man in form, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, this is a minefield. I can definitely see the case for Falcon 8 repeating, but I've gone for another bloke that's been, he was tearing it up yesterday, Ryan Moore with Cleveland, you know, as in I thought this horse ran a really promising race at Nace last time out on his return for about 15 or 16 months off. I thought it was interesting that they persevered with him. He's a son of Camelot, so the step up in trip and slower conditions should be fine for him. Box 10 isn't ideal, but Ryan Moore showed yesterday that that's not insurmountable. And with a man like him on your side, I just thought Cleveland was an interesting one. He could be a horse that has group race aspirations beyond this, and maybe Aidan and the boys have thought that 77,000 quid for winning the Chester Cup on the way through is a nice little bonus. And like I say, I just thought he was the one with untapped potential, Tom, especially going up from 10 furlongs to this 2 mile 2 trip.
You mentioned box 10, and I was just looking. So last year, box 10, Falcon 8. Making Miracles 16 the year before that. Magic Circle 6, Montali 2, No Heretic 4, Trip to Paris 11, Ile de Ré 13. I don't know. Steve, how much do you make of the draw? How important do you think it is? I know I put a lot of attention into it. I wonder if I overplay it a touch in this race.
Everyone knows you want to be at the rail in Chester, but over 5 furlongs, massive. You don't want to be higher than 3, really. The stats something like 65% for the top 3 boxes. But the further you go, the less influential it becomes. And in the Chester Cup, I'm afraid you can't really predict it. It's whoever is clever enough lucky enough in many respects in riding to get that position. You can do it if you're wide. Frankie dropped Falcon 8 right out last year from 10 and managed, probably because he was on such a good horse, that he's managed to do it. But if you go back, trip to Paris, 1 out of 11, Ile de Ré, 1 out of 13, and Making Miracles a few years ago out of 16. So I don't really put too much into the draw. I think you've just got to hold your breath, cross your fingers, hold your lucky rabbit's foot and hope for the best. And if you get a decent position, it's job's a good one. But I don't think you can rule any of them out, really, to be honest.
Who do you like, Jonesy?
I like another Irish raider, Morph Speed, of Richard O'Brien, who's a trainer I like a lot. He's a very clever trainer, plays his horses well. He ran this horse over a mile last time at Limerick. Well, that was never going to suit. And previous to that, he'd had a spin over a mile and 5 at Navan on his return to action when he was ridden right off the pace in a race that had the pace held up. But if you go back to last season, the further he went, the better he went. And he ran over a mile and 6 at Killarney, and he won that day. And the runner-up that day was a horse called of Gio Lyons, is called Camorra, who actually went on to win a Group 3 on his next start at Leopardstown, and is clearly better than a handicap. And although Morph Speed was getting a chunk of weight, I thought that was a really good effort, especially in the context of this race. And even though the pedigree doesn't particularly say Morph Speed is a horse that really wants staying distances, he runs like he does, and in all the evidence on form says Morph Speed wants it. So I thought he was very interesting in an open race. I think Falcon 8 obviously got a good chance. Charlie's horse Cleveland is an obvious chance as well, and there's plenty of old favourites in there. But I thought of the ones that were interesting that could actually be very well handicapped, Morph Speed certainly slotted into that category going up in distance, so I'll take a chance with him.
Okay, and so Morph Speed for you, win and place, Cleveland for Charlie, assuming that would be win and place as well. I am with Rashun, just a line for the horse that heads the betting, who won it last year, £5 higher. I was very close to just going for that horse, but I suppose he's a bit obvious. I think Rashun's got a better chance than his price would suggest. 21.0, one of a few in the race for Ian Williams, who's had a fine end to the jump season, great start to the flat season. He had about 12 horses entered in this at one point. Of them, I think Rashun, if you look at his bare form here, he's run disappointingly here a couple of times. Once over 1 mile 6, and I think that's a little bit sharp for him. And then last year in this, he was just slowly away. He was caught on the hop a bit. He ran on with a good bit of promise, obviously not as well as the winner. And I liked his profile coming into the race. And I watched that back last year, and I thought if he does that, it's getting his stuff. But I'm going to go for the fact that he has had a run this year. So it might have just been the fact that, he was a bit lazy last year, first start of the season, and it all happened a bit quickly. They've obviously approached it differently this year. He's had a run. He looks fairly treated, and I'm going to chance him just at the price he is, 21.0 under Ali Rawlinson. I think that's a little bit too big. So Rashun for me, but I might regret not tipping the favourite. That's Friday done, just the Chester Cup, and then we get stuck into 9 on Saturday. So there are 4 from Ascot, 4 from Lingfield, and the Swinton Hurdle as well. We start with the 145 at Ascot, and that is the local schools art competition Handicap. Flying Solo heads the betting at 7.0, just from Screaming Petrus 7.5, just Hubert is 9.0, as is Mascat. Danehill Kodiak is 10.0, Juan de Montalban 11.0. Then we do get stuck into the bigger prices. All right, you two agree. Steve, you can make the case.
Well, if it's a good day for Kevin Philippot de Foix, it's a good day for me because I'm with Juan de Montalban, if that is how you say it.
I think Steve, you've probably said the trainer's name and the horse's name completely incorrectly, but go on.
Brilliant. Run into form as usual. Yeah, this horse I think is very interesting. He's been around a bit. He ran for 100. Started off with Andrew Boulding, and he was actually sold for 400 grand. Going back a bit when he won a couple of times at Goodwood and at Sandown, the start of last season, and since then he's changed yards a little bit. He went to Italy. He then came back and went to David O'Mara. And now he's with his new trainer, Kevin Philippard de Foix, who I think is a real up-and-coming trainer of who's going to do well. He's in Newmarket and he has done well. And I thought this horse made it a good debut for him on ground that was probably a bit softer than ideal up at Thirst for return to action when fourth to Get Shirty. But that form has worked out really well because next time Get Shirty went close at Ripon, and the next two home in front of Wanda Matolbon have both won since. So it was a good effort and a good starting point. And considering this horse was running in group races, albeit not fantastically last season, he's still a horse that's got a lot of potential for a handicapper. So I thought he was the way to go.
Okay. Juan de Montalban for Kevin Philippard de Foix, or as Steve would say, Juan de Montalban for Kevin Philippard de Foix. You agree, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm more de Foix than de Foix, but yeah, I do agree with a lot of what Steve said, and he got dropped £1 for the first run as well, which was an added bonus. Danny Tudhope booked to ride as well, which is never a negative, and yeah, Steve has laid the case out, and I think he comes here with an excellent chance. Yeah, I really do.
Steve, would you like to say anything?
I've been put away here because I was at Goodwood last week and I was saying Kevin Philippard de Foix, and the commentator said Foix, so I thought I'd copy him.
Who was the commentator? Was it Barty?
I can't remember. It might have been Barty, yeah. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I'll remember that. And it was wrong.
Well, maybe he knows something we don't.
Yeah, maybe.
He's very disappointing to interview, but I assumed he'd have some beautiful French accent, but not a bit of it.
Oh, considering he's from Belgium, isn't he?
Moving on. Moving on. Right, I like one at a price here. This is Gold Maze, who is 21.0. First of all, we've got a 17 runner race, and I was only really interested in those drawn double figures just because I feel that they're quite often underestimated, because I think you want to be drawn wide here over this trip. Gold Maze is one of those. He's drawn 12. It's a bit of a guess up. He's eased a good bit since he moved from Jessica Harrington's to Roger Varian's. Roger Varian obviously couldn't get the best out of him. Maybe Jamie Osborne won't either. First start for the yard. But on back form, there's definite case for suggesting he's well treated. Ran in a derby a couple of years ago, although it was 150 to 1 and ran badly. But otherwise, had some half decent form enlisted in group company. Second start in a handicap. Last time he ran in a handicap, that was just under a year ago, was slowly away and very disappointing. It's a guess up. I didn't really like anything toward the top of the betting. So it was a very difficult race, but I'm happy to have a few quid on Gold Maze, and I'm hugely impressed with Safi Osborne this year. So 21.0 I thought was fair enough. Moving on to the 205 at Lingfield. Oh, I'm behind. I haven't got this page up. Bear with me. So this 205 at Lingfield, first of all, we're previewing there, is a handicap over 7 furlongs. Steve, I know you're sitting this one out. Haven't got any really accurate odds, to be honest, at the moment. Just needs to fill that market a little bit. But it's a nice looking handicap. Charlie, you can make your case first of all. Yeah,
I mean, I just gone for Vero Eagle. I mean, he was she was narrowly denied at Brighton the last day by Bachelor Boy, who's a bit of a course specialist round there, rallying all the way to the line, only to be beat a short head. Up 3, which is a slight negative maybe, but has won off 77 before. William Buick booked Tom, and Ed Dunlop's going really well at the moment. So, you know, that was I think Steve said it, relatively, this is a fairly ordinary contest for a Saturday card, in all honesty. But yeah, Vero Eagle, I just thought was really solid. You know, 11 days ago, £3 higher, beat a short head at Brighton by a course specialist there. Lingfield now and William Buick booked, and yeah, that was why I came down with this one.
Okay, I've just refreshed the page. That helps. So 4.5 for Eagle, 3.5 for Marley Park, Algeed 4.0, Adrad 6.0. I take it you're happy enough this horse is third in the betting?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely fine. Yeah, absolutely fine. Yeah.
I'm taking a bit of a punt on 12.0 shot ex Gracia, who is under Tom Markham for Jane Chapel Hyam. I think this is probably her trip. She's had a run, which I'm taking as a plus. She didn't really get a run at Lingfield last time. The unknown quantities, turf, don't know. And she obviously is top weight here. But I spoke to Jane Chapel Hyam about her at Kempton when she made the debut and ran into Bobby on the beat, who was quite a progressive horse at that point. And she looked like she wanted 7 there. And I think I feel like she could have a bit of room to manoeuvre from Arc of 80. Big fan of the trainer as well. It's a bit of a guess at the prices, and I wish we had 8 in there. I would just go small win stakes on Ex Gracia at 13.0. On we go. Just going to leave you out of that one completely, Steve. No betting that for you. We come to the Carey Group Buckhound Stakes. Right, interesting race because we've got the reappearing, I suppose, slightly disappointing horse as it turned out last year, Al Arsi. He looked very, very good when winning a couple at the start of the year and then not so good after that. So he is 3.0. Stowell, who I tipped up on the pod last time, he ran okay, probably needed it, is 4.5. Third Realm is 4.5, who ran in the Derby last year at 15.0. Universal Order is 12.0. And then we get into the bigger prices. Steve, who are you with?
First of all, I thought it was interesting that Al Arsi was running in the Buckhound Stakes because he looked a right hound back end of last season because he looked really good coming from off the pace a couple of times at Newbury in 2000, early last season. And then I thought he just dogged it on several occasions, and I wouldn't trust him even dropping in grade to this listed race. He's won group races, but I wouldn't trust him personally unless he gets a real fast pace. And he might not well get that. I didn't think there was a lot of pace in there. And one horse that I do think has got pace and can quicken off a slow pace is Universal Order, who we haven't seen for, he missed the whole of last season. It's one thing I find amusing. When, say, Universal Order wins tomorrow and everyone will say, what a great training performance by David Simcock. Well, the facilities that these guys have got, especially at Newmarket, places like that, you can get horses fit. And if he's brought a horse back from injury, then yeah, it's fair enough. But I've got no problem whatsoever with backing horses that are coming back from long layoffs because it is pretty straightforward to get horses fit these days on the first run back. And a horse that's got such a good record fresh, like Universal Order has, then I expect him to run to his best, even though he hasn't run since for 18 months or so. And if you go back to a couple of years ago, he won off a 5-month break at Newmarket, a listed race. He won off a 107-day break going into Maidan. And he won before that off a 205-day break. So he clearly is best fresh. That's what he's going to be. He's going to be fresher than he's ever been. And he looked quite progressive when last time we saw him a couple of seasons ago. And like I say, he's got a bit of pace. And if they don't go all that quick, then I think he might kill them with his pace. And I think he's overpriced. So winning place on Universal Order.
Okay, Universal Order is 12.0. I like that angle, Steve. So I'll be honest, I was out to put up Al Arsi here, and I put it on the dock, and I've since deleted it only because one thing I've suddenly remembered about this horse, which I was adamant about this early on in his career, is he doesn't want fast ground, and it's good at the moment, and there is no rain forecast. Basically, if it was good or softer, which I can't believe it's going to be, I would genuinely back him. I don't think he finds a huge amount off the bridle. He might not have to come off it to win this. I know he doesn't look straightforward, but we weren't saying that when he was winning at the start of the year. He looked so good this time last year. And then his form just tailed off a bit. Goes well fresh. And the ground is what's putting me off him. So for that reason, it's a no bet. I don't want to back Stoll too much, particularly because I do think he wants further. For all I was close to him, Third Realm, he's gone off the boil, and I'm not sure the others are good enough. So I'd be on ground watch. It's a no bet at the moment. If for whatever reason they overwater, if the times are indicating no better than good, then I'd be very interested at LRC at the current prices. But otherwise, I'm sitting it out. Charlie.
Yeah, just going back to what Steve said about the, I would agree. I'm not sure like a big layoff is a negative anymore. I think most trainers that are worth their salt can get a horse ready first time out if that's what they want to do, you know. And especially when a horse has got the ability to run well fresh. I think it's a different thing if you've got a big stuffy horse that's going to take a lot of training. Then maybe it becomes more of a factor. But a horse that's shown it can go well off a layoff. A bigger layoff than normal is not a negative, like he says, with all the facilities available. I came down with Stoll. Again, I thought he ran really nicely in the John Porter. Again, there was another pundit, I can remember, said John Gosling had said beforehand he thought the horse was going to need the run, and they said that they would put no weight behind trainers saying things like that at all. But to me, watching, I thought it looked like he did kind of need the run. As in, he looked like he had a bit of a blow, a furlong out, and then kept galloping to run a decent third, not beat far behind Max Vega. Frankie's coming to Ascot as well, you know, and yeah, I just think with a little bit of improvement, again, I would be wary of LRC. If he comes there swinging on the bridle, it's going to be no surprise, but he does look a bit of a dodge pot about what he's going to find off it. And so for that reason, yes, Stoll might want further moving forward, the form of Kamari and the Queen's Vase and that, but I just think on a stiff track like Ascot, with a run under his belt, that yeah, I'm quite positive about him. I'm actually really positive about him tomorrow on Saturday.
Okay, nice. Stoll. That might have been Steve Mellish. I don't know. It depends whether you're watching on Racing TV or ITV, but I know Steve does feel like that.
No, I know who it is. I'm just saying they're going to remain nameless. I know exactly who it was.
Might have been on ITV then. There you are. But yeah, I agree with how the horse ran. Like he definitely, yeah, completely agree. He ran like he needed it. And yeah, I put him up last time. So sort of half hope he doesn't win. Apologies. But we'll see how he gets on. Right, let's kick on. 240 Lingfield is the Derby trial. Prices are as follows. So 2.0 is Walk of Stars. Natural Worlds, another Charlie Appleby horse, who could well be in there to set the fractions, don't know though, is 5.5. United Nations is 6.5 for Aidan O'Brien, and an 8.0 shot is Zechariah, and Lionel is 11.0. I cannot work out how we have all come down on the same horse here. I thought I was being clever. This is ridiculous. What, he's the outsider of the bunch. Right, I'll go first. I was at Newbury when the horse ran. Davin Memuisier was incredibly positive about him before and after the race. The money came for him in a big way. I spoke to Charlie Appleby after the race, who said that at no point did they think Ottoman Fleet could possibly get beaten. And he did by his stable companion, Natural World, who went forward. Interesting enough, Ottoman Fleet's entered in the Edward the 7th stakes. He's a gelding for a start. So you're not running a Derby. And Lionel, I thought, emerged with the most credit in the race. I feel like he's priced up on his trainer, perhaps more than anything. I don't know, the fact that he's, and he hasn't got the sexiest profile for this. He's stayed on incredibly well, and I think he's a massive price here. For all, I'm very wary of the favourite Walk of Stars, who has achieved the most and could easily be a Derby horse and emerge as Derby favourite off the back of this. I don't know, but I think he is a massive price, Lionel, and the one I want to back in the race. Trying to be clever, but so are you, Jonesy.
Well, yeah, I've been trying to be clever all my life, but it's never come off really. Why doesn't anyone name their kids Lionel anymore? It's like Peregrine. You never hear of a little Peregrine or anything. Do you know who I blame for Lionel is Brushstrokes. When I was a lad, there was a sitcom called Brushstrokes, and the boss was a bit of a tyrant, and he was called Lionel.
Well, I'm glad we got a story in there. Did anybody have 24 minutes on the spread for the story?
So anyway, this Lionel comes from a really good family with they name them all a bit like this, Duncan and Howard, and I think Lionel's dam is Gretchen, and they're in those pink colours of Normandy stud. But yeah, like you said, I thought that was a good run at Newbury when Natural World was way too far back, was up against a wall of horses, had to switch down the wide outside, and managed to get within 3/4 of a length of the Godolphin winner, Natural World, with Ottoman Fleet second. And Natural World, James Dorr dropped his stick, I think so. But it's no less creditable that Lionel was able to do what he did. He's going to stay really well. He's going to stay further than this. So it's no surprise that he's gone for the longest of these Derby trials, the one at Lingfield. And if he can kick the turbo in the closing stages, he might well win. It was all price dependent really, so I was just willing to take a chance on Lionel and hope that he was as tough and hardy and as belligerent as the boss man who gave Jacko a hard time in brushstrokes.
There's another Lionel as well. There's a sitcom. Anyway, I'll look it up. Charlie.
Just want to. I've never known anyone called Peregrine.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
It's a great shame. It's a great shame.
I only went to school with about 4 lads called Peregrine. No, there's a book with there's an old book. What were those naughty books called when you were growing up? There was a Peregrine, someone in one of those. So anyway, right. Look what you've done, Kenzie. Look what you've done.
Yeah. Moving on. Yeah. I mean, Walk of Stars, like you said, could be top notch. I mean, the second and third from his last run at Newbury have been beat since. I very much thought Natural World just got the run of the race at Newbury. I mean, maybe I'm looking too much into this, and I just thought both times Lionel has run at Newbury in the autumn and this spring, he's had a really interrupted passage and had to switch out both times to get a run and finished off like he's got a proper engine. I just think 10-1 is way too big. You know, if he can get round the bend at Lingfield and get angled out and get plenty of racing room, I think he's going to come home better than anything in this race. And look, maybe we'll be looking afterwards and say that the Godolphin favourite's just far too good. But I think at 10-1, he's a huge price to at least be running down into the frame. And from what I've seen at Newbury, I think he's got enough ability to win this race. And so, yeah, 10-1 is ridiculous. I think it's a big oversight here with this horse.
Yeah, I think that Newbury form is going to work out very well. Okay, the team steam, the outsider of the field, 11.0 shot Lionel. Who knew? Let me, before we get stuck into the Swinton hurdle, tell you about the sign-up offer. It is a £30 welcome offer, money back as a free bet if your first bet loses. It is for new customers only, of course. You've got to use the bonus code INSIGHTS30. Place your first bet. If it loses, Matchbook will refund your stake as a free bet up to £30. The full terms and conditions are on the Matchbook website. 18 plus, be gamble aware. If you don't have a Matchbook account yet and you're listening or watching this, then it is well worth signing up to take advantage of that, because you'll get a £30 free bet, money back as a free bet if your first bet loses up to £30. And you're also very likely to get better odds with the exchange as well, as I think we've proven last week with our price comparisons, the winners that were put up. 3 o'clock at Haydock then is the Swinton Handicap Hurdle, and it looks like this prices wise. West Cork is 6.5. Anna Bonina, 7.0. She's a bit short than I thought she'd be. Lateral Lad is 8.5, 11.0 Cormier. Herbier is also 11.0, as is Milkwood. Then into the bigger prices. Okay, Charlie. I very nearly joined you on this one. In fact, I'll probably back him as well because I did at Aintree. Go on.
I just thought, looking down through the race, Anna Bonina is a hard horse to catch right for the favourite. And I thought Sean Bowen was brilliant on him at Ayr to win the Scottish Champion Hurdle. But, you know, I thought 5-1 was a very opposable. West Cork's guaranteed to run well. I thought Milkwood was quite interesting if he improves a bit for the run up at Ayr. But the one I came down with was Severance. I really liked the second run back after a wind-up angle. And, you know, he'd been running pretty well up to then. He'd been a very good second at Cheltenham in January. He ran well up at Kelso, and after the wind up, he ran a blinder, I thought, at Aintree in the conditional jockey amateur race. The faster they go in this sort of race, the better for him. Ben Pauling also has moved yards, and the horses have been flying since he's gone into his new base at Naunton Golf Club. And again, he's 12-1. I just struggle. I really struggle to see him out of the money, Tom, and a win and place for me. Yes, Severance. Like I say, that the second run after a wind up, I think, is a really interesting angle, especially as he ran so well after it at Aintree.
So the thing that not put me off him slightly, in fact, I'm going to back him at that price. I suppose my slight concern was that this is effectively half furlong short of 2 miles, and I just wondered if he wants a stiffer 2 or a little bit further now. I don't know. What do you think on that? Do you obviously you think it'll be absolutely fine and he's worth a bet at the prices? That's just the one slight, the thing that made me tip elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, but Aintree is a sharp enough circuit itself. Granted, it was 2 mile and a little bit further. And also, I mean, well, I'll say this now. You very, very rarely get a slowly run race in a Swinton hurdle. I mean, they go a million in this, and I think the ability to stay a little bit further is never a bad thing, as long as he can keep tabs early. That is the big thing. But like I say, if he's got a bit of confidence in his win after the run at Aintree, Yard is in flying form. Like I say, I play a bit of six-side football with Ben Pauling on a Monday night, and he's very bullish at the moment. And so I could just see that this could be a big winner for the Yard to really sort of kick on with the new base they've got. But yeah, the trip, I think he'll be fine over the trip. I think they'll go fast, and I think the ability to stay a little bit further won't be a bad thing.
Okay, so I'm very positive about that horse as well, but I have only just put one up, and that is Anna Bonina, who had a confession time. She is shorter than certainly when I previewed the race yesterday, or when I made the selection yesterday. So obviously, decks are out, and 7.0 I can't argue is massive value, but I'm sticking with her. And I'm going to back Charlie's selection as well. The case for Anna Bonina is that, she ran really well at Ayr last year, finished second to Milkwood, and then didn't run again for some time. And I can't remember what the injury was. She suffered an injury anyway, and it took a while to get her back on form. They targeted the Scottish Champion Hurdle, and they targeted it very well. Watching that back, given the trouble she hit, I think a £5 rise is kind of fair enough. And I didn't think that West Cork should be shorter than her, so that's why I want her on side. And Mark McDonough takes off £5. I don't know him very well, but he obviously knows what he's doing. And interesting that John McConnell wants to employ a conditional taking weight off. So Anna Bonina for me, but I'm jumping on Charlie's bandwagon as well. Steve?
I knew jump jockeys were brave, but I didn't quite know how brave. If you've been playing five-a-side football with Ben Pauling, you must be so brave. He broke his head lad's leg having a kickabout in the yard once. I've never seen anyone so competitive on a football pitch in my life. They had a charity game at Cheltenham Town's ground once, and Nico de Boinville played, and all he wanted to do was kick Pauling, but he didn't want to get close enough because he knew what would be the result. So he's an absolute lunatic on the football pitch. But there's another lunatic in there, or ex-lunatic, which is Sebastopol, who looked like they tried everything to get this horse to win over hurdles later on, and he just kept finishing second all the time. They used to go up in distance and that, and he looked a right hound. But ever since he's tried Visor over fences, he's been running over fences all last season, and he came good a couple of times towards the back end, and he looked quite good, and he looked like the Visor had done the difference. And he's £9 lower over hurdles than he is over fences. He likes decent ground, and he loves a fast pace, and that's what he's going to get. So he stays a bit further, which will help, and I think he's quite likely underestimated because he's been running over fences and people still remember him as finishing second all the time. So winning place, I think Sebastopol's quite a nice bet for an informed trainer in Tom Lacey.
At 15.0. Move on to the Oaks trial at Lingers. It's the 3:15, and Emily Dickinson is atop the betting at 3.0. Belt Buckle is 5.0. Rogue Millennium is 7.0. Actually, Tom Clover potentially with an Oaks filly. Mystic Wells is 9.0 for classic winning trainer George Bowie. Speak is, well, they're just bigger prices, the rest. In fact, one of us, I think, is signing with Speak. It's Steve. I'm a no bet here. I was tempted with George Bowie's horse because I think he's just a bit underestimated with this type of horse. He's sort of seen as a trainer of, younger speedballs, but he had a horse finish second in an Oaks last year. He's just won a Guineas. But anyway, I'm just sitting it out. Steve, Speak.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Yeah, I am with Speak. It's one of those where I'm just going to throw a few quid to chance Speak because I thought this horse is going to improve a lot going up in distance. She was beaten in a handicap at Windsor first time up over 10 furlongs. It was way too sharp for her, really. She just outpaced. So that might have brought her forward quite a lot. And if it has, she's got a chance because she was tried in the May Hill last season over a mile behind in Spiral. And again, it was just way too sharp. I don't think we've seen the best of this filly, no matter what happens. When you consider that she's a half-sister to Valley Forge, who won the Melrose at York last season and actually ran quite well at Newmarket last weekend, not handling the track. I think Valley Forge is one to keep an eye on. So definitely going up in distance is going to help Speak, but it would just be a small bet, kind of chancing it a little bit.
Okay, Speak for you at fair prices at 15.0. So 12.0. So you can't really complain about that. Charlie?
Yeah, again, it was probably near enough a no bet for me, Tom. I just put Emily Dickinson up because I think she'll win. The race is cut up badly. I mean, Belt Buckle, I think, of Gosden's, the horse that she beat, are rated 75 and 63 now when she won at Wolverhampton. This filly ran a solid race at Naas. We're winning. The extra furlong and a half is going to suit her really, really well. She got on top late and she got a blue blood pedigree. She had a mare called Chiquita, who I think won the Irish Oaks back in the day. So it's a really good opportunity for her to pick up some black type as well, some winning black type. And in a race that lacks no depth, Emily Dickinson, I think will win. But like I say, I wouldn't be majorly strong on her, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's that sort of race, isn't it? Okay, let's move on to the 3:30 at Ascot. It's the British EBF Filly Stakes. And top of the betting, you have got Strawberry, who is 4.5. Huey Morrison's Delta Bay is 5.5. Stunning Beauty, very disappointing, 6.0, shorter than I thought she would be. So I'm swerving her. Spirit of the Bay is 6.5, Aurea 8.0, Don't Tell Claire 10.0, as is Rising Star 11.0, Soft Whisper Serenading is 13.0. And Serenading is your selection, Steve. Off you go.
Yeah, I can't believe the price of this horse, to be honest, because I think she's got a really good chance. She's been running on the all-weather, so although she hasn't run since March, you'd like to think she'd be fit enough, definitely. And she won a couple of times on the all-weather, but things don't often drop for her on the all-weather because she likes to be ridden for off the pace, and in small fields, it doesn't really do for her. And she's also been badly hampered a few times. Her penultimate run at Wolverhampton, she was nearly brought down. And then last time, she didn't get any cover in a 3-runner race. But if you go back to back end of last season, she finished down the field at Ascot behind Don't Tell Claire. But again, she got no sort of luck at all. And I thought she could have just about won that. And the fact that she's got fitness and Don't Tell Claire is having her first start of the season, I thought that Serenading might easily turn that form around. And I thought there was enough pace in this to help Serenading come into it. And the fact that she's done all her winning on the all-weather is not a bad thing, because I think all-weather form, or all-weather horses that run well and like the all-weather often run to their form at Ascot because of the kind of sand-based track. So Serenading should never be the outsider of the field, and that's what she is. And so winning place of 9 runners, I think she's a tremendous bet.
Another outside of the field selection. Yeah, the all-weather form translates to this straight Ascot track very well normally. I'm with Don't Tell Claire, who is a course and distance winner. First start of the season, I know, well named as well, that it must be, I don't know, to do with Claire Kugler. Of course, you tell your wife everything, but I don't know. That's what she's called. I just like her style for this track. She's going to get her ground. It worked out perfectly when she won at the back end of the year in that Fillies handicap. Just sat off it, quick ground, over the mile, and then produced at the perfect time. And I think that's exactly what they'll try and do again. Richard Kingscote got a decent record on her. He's won on her before. And she's just a strong traveller, which is what I think you want over this straight course at Ascot. Just £8 higher now, but hopefully she can go on and be better. And it's her first start in a handicap since. So I thought with 9 runners, win and place at 10.0, Don't Tell Claire was a fair price. Charlie?
I've gone with Spirit of the Bay for Clive Cox. She had a really good year last year, winning 4 on the bounce, but she took a couple of runs to hit top form and then ended a winning sequence, winning off 80. She's had a couple of runs this time round, maybe slightly better as expected at Doncaster last time, where she went off 11 to 10 favourite. But they've got William Cox on board as well, who takes a handy 3 off, which brings her back down to a last winning mark. And Clive Cox, I think, he's had 6 winners over the last 14 days. The yards really sort of hit form with a vengeance, and yeah, that's good enough for me. Trainer form, back down with the riders claim, last winning mark, and a couple of runs, which I think is no bad thing at this time of the year in a race like this. So race fitness on side. Okay,
that's 3 selections for that 3:30. We go back to Lingfield. We've got a bit of a team steam here again. I'll give you the prices first of all for the Chartwell. Chakoya just about heads the betting at 5.0. Same price actually, as She Do. Thunder Beauty is 9.0. Symphony Perfect is the same price, 9.0. Wren's Breath is 10.0, as is Pearl's Glory, and then the bigger price is the final 2. Who wants to make the case for She Do in the main? Charlie, you can first of all.
I really like this filly. I mean, I was going to, on the entries, she'd ran well at Ascot on a penultimate start, not that far behind, beat the Blues and Highland Princess, who obviously go elsewhere now, and then rounded off the season with a listed race victory at Newmarket. She was a 3-year-old sprinter and moving, a year older now, 4-year-old. Roger Varian going really well at the moment, and I just think she's a sort of filly that has a profile that she could be very progressive this year. It's often difficult for 3-year-olds over sprint trips, and the 7 furlongs I think is well within her compass. I mean, she ran very nicely at Ascot over that trip, and yeah, just a year older. I just think she's a sort of filly that could really have a good season this time round. And like I say, I would have fancied her when she was when I was looking through the entries. I probably anticipated her being a little bit bigger than this with John Quinn's filly in there and Andrew Balding's that go elsewhere. So yeah, I'd be pretty confident on She Do for me, Tom.
Okay, so I'd be less confident. She was a bit of a, she was the one I would want to back in the race, but I might see what sort of day I'm having before I actually do. It was a race I could sit out. I think she's, 6 or 7 is fine to her. Maybe a stiffer 6 or an easier 7. I think this will be absolutely fine. I think she could kick on and have a very good year. It's probably not as strong as I thought it might be at entry stage, and I'm looking forward to seeing what she does this year. I thought she still had a lot of sort of sharpening up to do mentally, and hopefully she does that this year. But it wouldn't be the strongest shout of the day, put it that way. Jonesy.
I just like the way she finished last season. That win at Newmarket's worked out particularly well, beating Gale Force Mayer. And that was over 6 furlongs. And I think this year, 7 furlongs on decent ground would be ideal. So, and Roger Varian has got his team in good form. So first start of the season, I think she should well be up to Group 3 level, because it's not the deepest of Group 3s by any means.
No, agree with that. 3 shouts for She Do to add to our outsider of the bunch shout earlier on with Lionel in the Derby trial. The Victoria Cup is the last race we're going to do. I'm not going to give you the prices because it's pretty much 9.0 the field. So we'll just get stuck straight into the selections. I've got 2, but Charlie, I think yours is biggest of the lot, so you can start, sir.
Well, as in, I need for starters, I need William Carver. Well, William Carver's on claiming 3. He's ridden this horse a lot. I'm just trying to read my notes. She's 1 off 101, so you know, with his claim, she's down below that. And again, going back, this is the second run after the wind-up angle that I like. You know, she was promising on the first start since at Haydock behind Bandsman. She has ran poorly at Ascot on heavy, but I think on this ground she'll be absolutely fine. And I'm willing to forgive that on good ground. And look, this is ultra competitive, and I was just looking for something with a place angle. Andrew Bolden's going really well. Like I say, I think William Carver's a good young rider. I like the first run back at Haydock, and the second run back off the wind up is an angle that I enjoy. And in a race, it's a bit of a minefield. Just 25-1 looks some value to me from a place perspective.
Yeah, so 26.0. You might want to play up the places, 4 or 5 places, for example. She could be well drawn. He could be well drawn to 25. I prefer to be that side, personally. One of mine is drawn there. So Charlie's Udalali at 26.0. I like Chief of Chiefs drawn 23. Hayley Turner and Charlie Fellows combining. I think they combined when this horse won the Wokingham a few years back. Or am I making that up? Or was it the Wokingham or was it the other? It was a 6 furlong race at Ascot, wasn't it? Anyway, I'll stop waffling and make the selection. I think 7 is probably what he's shaped as though he wants now. I know he hasn't won for some time. It was the Wokingham and it was Will Buick on board, so well done me. But Hayley Turner and Charlie Fellows have won a couple of big handicaps together before. I mean, the horse had Jamie Spencer riding for a bit, and you know, he gave him a classic Jamie Spencer ride a few times, including in the Wokingham last year, on but probably softer ground than ideal. But he just dropped to the sort of mark now, 97. He won a Wokingham off 95. Strong pace up to 7, I think, is what he's looking like he wants. And he ran better than his finishing position indicated in this race last year. So, and he's £2 lower. I think he's interesting on slightly better ground from this draw. And the other one, who is the best bet of the day, is Fresh. Why I'm making a half cliff horse for me my best bet of the day, I don't know. When the tongue tie went on here over 6 last year, he just got the perfect Ascot ride. And then I went on and followed him in the Wokingham last year, and he finished 2nd, which is great. He's subsequently run here once, beaten by a very good horse, but won his side. But also, it was heavy ground that day. Now, maybe he wants decent ground. He's never run on anything with firm in the going description. So it might be that he does not want quick ground. Maybe he won't run if it's quick. But either way, he's going to drop at some point on the straight course at Ascot off a mark of 98. I think he could be so well in, and he's had a prep run as well. So I think he should be favourite, and he's 12.0. Steve Jones.
I think I'm right in saying that Chief of Chiefs, the race he won at Royal Ascot, he'll be the only winner of that race ever, because it was the Silver Wokingham. Yeah, that was a COVID kind of concept.
Lovely. Took me away.
Sorry, mate. I don't like doing that.
Do you want to talk about any of my other tips? No.
I think
I'm looking forward to your one here, Steve, because you can't say the trainer's name, and good luck with it, jockey.
I think to start with, the pace is high, middle to high, and if you go through recent winners, that's basically where you've wanted to be, middle to high, which is sometimes the case at Ascot. I'm in a horse that's drawn 27 for that well-known trainer Kevin Philippart de Foy, and the excellent claiming jockey Benoit de la Sayette. The horse is called Vafortino, who's only had one start for his new trainer, Kevin Philippart de Foy. who got the horse from Joseph O'Brien in Ireland, where he had shown promising form. And he didn't always have the race run to suit him. I think it was often the race sort of panned against him over in Ireland. He was tried over a few different distances. And when you think that he's by New Bay, who I think is a fantastic stallion. He's my favourite, one of my favourite stallions at the moment. He's got a superb record. And this distance on a fast run race, when I think they'll ride him just behind the pace. So being on that high side, I think will help him because he can follow a decent pace. And hopefully his rider, Benoit de Salayet, can push the button at the right time and see it out. So I think his first start for Kevin Philippot de Foy was when a next second to Bless Him up at Newcastle on the all-weather. I thought it was a real promising run because they were well clear of a subsequent winner back in third. And Bless Him, although he does need things to drop right, Jamie Spencer gave him a great ride that day. He's a Royal Ascot winner himself, bless him. And when things do drop right for him, I think he's very good, bless him. So that was a really good first start of the season for Vafortino. It's a wide open race, but I think he's got a good chance. I'm surprised River Nymph, who's also drawn high, who was last year's winner. I'm surprised he's such a big price, but I wouldn't want the ground to dry out for him.
Okay, 3 shouts, a mixture of prices, 4 shouts even, I can't count, for the Victoria Cup. Let's move on to the best lays. We nailed the full house, all 4 best lays copped. I'm going to have to try and remember them now, but I can't. But they did. There were a couple of place lays in there. And I know Charlie's lay copped as well. So good stuff on those.
Epatante was mine.
Epatante was yours, Steve. Yeah. Charlie, who was yours?
Oh, Goodwood. Oh God, I can't remember the. I'm sorry, I'm absolutely.
I think it was Primo Bascio.
Primo Bascio.
Yes, thank you.
George Baker said was a certainty.
That's
right. Finished last. It finished last. I know that. Yeah.
Peter's Punt says Classical Dream best lay. Wasn't that one? Yeah, I had Tenebrism out the 3 in the Guineas, and Michael Deasy had his favourite for the Thirsk Hunt Cup. Tell you what, they named a lot of races in the Thirsk Hunt Cup day. The bookmaker who look after that, Fitzdares it was. They named them after Mick Easterby phrases. They could have had a field day with the Thirsk Hunt Cup, couldn't they? Bloody hell. Anyway, let's move on. Who's the best lay, Charlie?
I've gone King's Lynn tomorrow, 3:45 at Chester in the conditions race round there. He has to shoulder a big penalty, 9 stone 12. He's drawn in the 1 box, and I think he's often looks a bit of a dodge spot, this horse. I know he won his final start at Doncaster, but I just think there's a lot of speed around him and he gets shuffled back. I'm not always sure he's the most resolute, and I just think first run back as well, he's very vulnerable. Steve, have you got one or no? Sitting out.
No, I've slipped up here because I couldn't find anything short enough on Saturday, and of course I should have gone Friday, shouldn't I?
That's right.
I haven't. Sorry.
No, not at all. Having said I was going to back LRC, I've just this thing in my head about the going. I think is dangerous. If he runs and there is firm in the going description, I think ground is so important to him. I think the sort of temperament thing is slightly overplayed, but I do think he wants dig in the ground. So if there's firm anywhere in the going description, I'm going to lay it. Did you want to add anything else, Steve, or are you done?
Yeah, I've just noticed LRC's also in tomorrow at Chester.
No, he's been taken out.
Has he?
Non-runner.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're ahead of me there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. I'm glad you came back in.
You were delighted with that, weren't you? You were delighted.
Let's do best bets. Go on, Jonesy. Who's your best bet this weekend?
I've got to go winning place on Serenading because I think she's way overpriced in that handicap. That it's Ascot.
Okay, Serenading for you. My best bet is Fresh in the Victoria Cup for all the reasons I laid out earlier. I think he's got a big handicap in him. Maybe he'll come back in trip for the Silver Wokingham. Doesn't exist anymore, does it? Who's your best bet, Charlie?
Stowell for me, I think going to come on massively for that first run at Newbury. Ascot, I think, will suit ideally. Granted, maybe wants a bit further, but I think it'll be good enough, especially against a dodge pot like El Azi.
Lovely stuff. That's it for the Matchbook Pod this week. Don't forget to check out Insights for all the best bets we've put up there. And enjoy the weekend's racing for now from Steve, from Charlie and myself. Bye-bye.